Hey MGTOWs, this is Vention. Just hanging out and living the dream. I'm enjoying a nice 3-day weekend. Gotta love that. Um, Had a really nice run up in Bitcoins. You guys are probably tired of hearing about this. Bitcoins went over $1,000 yesterday, and it's the weirdest thing. It once it went over, into the thousands of ways, like it went up to about 1,032 or so. It started a big bunch of buying and crazy selling. It's like people are having a conniption. Some people are, I mean, usually the normal patterns are not nearly as choppy as this, but there's a lot of people who apparently have been waiting for it to be over 1,000 to sell, and other people are saying, "Oh, it's over 1,000, I'd better buy," and it's just this massive, mixed up, uh, turbulent situation. It'll settle out eventually, but it's like pretty bizarre. Some people are thinking it's another bubble like 2013, and other people are saying, "Oh my goodness, it's going to go crazy. I can't miss out." And then they have what they call FOMO, fear of missing out. um, but basically, I'm just in it for the long term. I mean, I look at all these ups and downs and everything with sort of a blasé attitude, because man, after experiencing the downturn of 2014, where bitcoins were just going down to down, 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 over that whole year, little turbulent things like this don't really bother me. Now, um, I'd like to discuss quickly the difference between bitcoins and silver, and that's basically bitcoins are a free market, and there are many exchanges, and most of them are not owned by like central banks and whatnot and big money, except for maybe Coinbase. Uh, they are sort of within the system to some extent, but a lot of the other exchanges like Bitstamp and whatnot are started by just geeks, you know. So so basically, it's much more of a free market than silver or gold are. Now, with gold and silver, there was this big conspiracy theory that that people called wacko conspiracy right wing craziness, and it was people who stacked silver just know darn well that the silver price was being manipulated, and people in the corporate media and other normal-ish people were saying, "Oh, you guys are crazy. You're a bunch of conspiracy wackos." And now recently, Deutsche Bank in Germany admitted fault for manipulating the silver price, and they turned over a bunch of evidence, like their chat sessions. It says, "We're the stop busters," because they run the exchanges, and they can see where traders have placed their stops, right? Like when a stock is going down, down, down to a certain point, a lot of people set stops to sell at a really low price. But the people who manipulated the silver, they basically sell short positions into it, dump tons of fake money, and create fake silver and push that price down, uh, and to the point where it hits those stops, and then additional selling pressures rolls in because those stops are sells as well, and then the price goes down crazy until it's where it is now, like $16 an ounce. Now, that's the difference between a free market and a fake market, right? The Bitcoin price is pretty much a free market, and the silver price, I mean, silver should be several $100s an ounce at least right now, but it's just manipulated down into the dirt. But um, the time for silver is coming. Like in 2011, for example, the um, the physical price that you would have to go down to the coin shop and buy silver, and they would have large differences between the physical price and the spot price, a big divergence. And when the silver price, the spot price, and the electronic fake ass price that the bankers manipulate, when they diverge to such an extent, um, it reveals the fact that the bankers are like faced with a choice. They can either allow the price to go up and allow their fake market to have some reality in it, or they can keep the price manipulated into the dirt while the real silver price goes up and up and up, and then they basically are revealed as frauds because uh, people will realize that the COMEX is a place where you can buy fake silver with a price that never goes up. so so in 2011, apparently they chose to allow the fake silver price to go up to sort of match the real price, um, and then once the economy bottomed out, and they basically then they allowed the price. They started pushing the price down again, right? But at that point, the stock market was starting to take off, and then real estate started to go up, and so a lot of less interest was placed in actual physical silver. Now I feel sorry for the preppers and silver stackers, a lot of whom are MGTOW. I feel sorry for them because they bought silver from 2006 and 2007. That was right when I started buying. Then they bought all the way up to 2011 at $48 an ounce, and then they kept buying as the price went down, 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 all the way back down to 15. So, um, and now they're just sitting there. Some of them are still buying. Some of them are so fatigued that they just have the silver in a closet somewhere, and they're just trying to ignore it. So basically, the electronic price has pretty much wrecked the physical market. Um, so but that can't last. As we're dropping into this next recession, as I've told you guys, we're going to see more bank failures, more brokerage failures. Remember, like MF Global, and all these companies that were just going bankrupt, and then basically, stealing people's money, and people ended up just losing their asses. And then that caused a real interest in physical silver and gold, of course. Well, when that occurred, it pushed the real price up. Now, what we're seeing is a lot of bank bail-ins in like Spain and not Germany, but I think Italy and Austria, and we've had a number of them over there. And when they start coming here, right, and we start seeing banks go bankrupt, and we start seeing the FDIC failing to have enough money to bail them out, and then we're going to see, oh man, when we have our bank bail-ins, um, then it's going to be pretty intense, because a lot of people are going to start losing seriously losing confidence in the conventional economic system. And when that occurs, they're going to really start buying silver, and that is going to push the silver price up dramatically. Either that, or the COMEX is going to be revealed as a fraud, and I don't think they're willing to do that. I think they're going to let the silver price go back up, and that'll be about the time that Goldman Sachs and whatnot, and J.P. Morgan, they have warehouses full of silver. That's when they might start liquidating or trying to use it for something, maybe some kind of world currency, or they're going to try to do some shit like that. When that occurs, that's going to push the silver price up dramatically, and then people, I hope, do not do the same mistake they did in 2011, right? I'm hoping that the preppers and silver stackers are going to see it top out right around probably 2019. That's just like 2 years from now. And then I hope they take some profits right then, because last time, man, they just sat on it, and then all their money just went away. And in my case, I was a little conservative back in 2012. I cashed in about half my silver, and I chose the lots of silver that were the highest prices that I had ever paid among them. That way, I didn't have to pay Uncle Sam nearly as much um, for any appreciation, and some of it didn't appreciate at all because I sold in 2012 when the price was starting to drop, and a lot of some of what I bought wasn't any profit at all. I brought it in the 30s back in like 2010 or so, or 2000, yeah, late 2010, I think. It was a while ago. I can't remember. But anyway, then I cashed in, bought the house at the bottom of the freaking uh, uh, economic cycle. So the idea, I told you guys before, just reiterating, about every 7 or 8 years, the country drops in, or the world drops into a recession. And when that occurs, the bankers they pull all the money out of the system, and then they layoffs and everything, and then people lose their asses, and then they come in with fake ass money which they can print, and then they purchase commercial real estate and residential real estate and for pennies on the dollar, right? And and then they put money back into the system, let liquidity go back in, and then they and then they start unloading that stuff to the sheeple, and they're all happy because they're working and whatnot, and then then the prices get pushed back up, and then they end up. It's just a way of harvesting wealth from people, right? But we can play that game too. The idea is to buy assets which are out of favor at a certain time. You know, like 2015. When the silver price dropped down in 2015, I spent just a few months reacquiring all the silver that I spent back in 2012 for like less than half price. And then I basically was, and then basically I'm waiting right now for the next big run up, which should be at the bottom of this next recession, right around 2019. And that, man, I think that silver is going to be a good deal more than it was in 2011. I'm betting on like 90 or 100 or maybe even more, and then I can cash in the silver and pay off what's left of the mortgage, and then I will be living on Easy Street. And when I paid off the condo back in 2010, man, that was awesome. Um, no rent, no house payment, no credit card bills, no car payment, no friggin' nothing. And I was living comfortably on about 30%, sometimes less, of my take-home pay each month, and that's awesome. And a lot of my coworkers, married, they just, and even where I'm working now, it's a great place to work, but a lot of my coworkers spend all the way up to the very freaking last dime that they earn, and then they bust their asses working overtime, right, to earn a little bit more, and then they end up getting taxed more heavily on all their previous pay periods earnings. So basically the treadmill goes faster. They're running faster, and the treadmill just speeds up, you know. But me, nah, not gonna happen. Okay, so to reiterate, bitcoins are a free market. That's why they have been able to rise and take advantage of the bearish sentiment that a lot of people have on the conventional economy. And plus, they use it for a lot of things too. Some people in China move money into Bitcoin so that they can move it into other investments in other countries, and other people just buy and hold the Bitcoins as a asset in itself, as I have. So going forward, I expect to see Bitcoins continue up. There's going to be some volatility now that it's like over $1,000 a Bitcoin. There's a lot of real turbulence there, but eventually it'll settle down and it will probably continue its slow climb up. Some people are just afraid it's another bubble like 2013, and they're like selling out of fear, and other people are saying, oh, it's going to take off, and they're just buying out of fear. And eventually the novelty of $1,000 Bitcoins is going to wear off, and then people are just going to use it as normal, as normal business. And then basically the price will continue to move up, or it should, throughout between now and 2019. And my target price is still, just as I was saying back in 2015, my target price is about $10,000 a Bitcoin by sometime in 2019. And man, if that happens, that's all the money I ever need, right? I mean, I'm hoping to get one pension from a shop that I used to work at, and another pension from the shop I'm working on now, and the 401k, I might get a little something out of that. And maybe something out of Social Security, who knows? But it's like 14 years away, so it's hard to tell if it's going to be there for me. But Bitcoins, I think they've got a bright future. And silver everybody's really disappointed with the performance of silver, but man, I'm of the opinion that over the next 3 years, between now and 2019, we're going to see some serious layoffs and financial destruction and seizure of assets and loss of assets, and stock brokerages and commodities brokerages like MF Global. They're going to go bankrupt, and they're going to lose people a lot of money, and people are going to start wanting items that will preserve their wealth outside of the conventional economic system. So then, and we might also see a big resurgence in prepper videos, prepper preparedness philosophy. It might even go mainstream. For a while there with that Doomsday Prepper show, I'm not sure if it's still on. I don't watch TV, but it's an interesting thing coming up. So I'm just saying that if anybody still holds silver, and I highly recommend silver as well as Bitcoin, its day is coming. We're so vulnerable. Silver's so easily manipulated by the banksters that it seems like a really crappy investment right now, but it's out of favor still. So if you have extra cash and you don't want to put it into Bitcoin, I would highly recommend taking a look at silver. I'm kind of lucky because Washington State doesn't charge sales tax on silver. It's just considered another form of money. Washington State is a freaking leftist state, not as bad as California or the People's Republic of Oregon, but they're bad enough. But they are really good in other aspects. For example, this state, it's really easy to get a concealed pistol license. You don't have to take the classes. You just have to have a clean record and like no felonies or whatever, and pay the $80 or so, and then you can get your license. Also, there is no income tax, no state income tax, so you can actually earn all the money you want, and the state doesn't take any of it. They just take it when you want to spend it. Unlike California, who tax the shit out of you when you earn it, then tax the shit out of you again when you try to spend it. Lame. So anyway, okay, so that's what I wanted to cover. And I also wanted to mention that one of our MGTOW brothers was commenting to me saying, I'm waiting for a video for you to go, ha ha ha, Bitcoins are $1,000, and ha ha, you guys didn't buy any. And man, it just did not sit well with me, because I do not want to make fun of anybody, and man, I'm so sorry for those MGTOW who couldn't find a way to join me in this journey, uh, this adventure of bitcoins, and they are left behind so far, right? But I'm still expecting very good gains over the next 3 years between now and 2019. So it's not, the game is not over yet. You can still, I believe, get in and get some good gains. But I also would encourage people to not forget about silver, because silver is on the floor. I mean, it is at the bottom of its cycle, and and very soon, not very soon, but over the next 3 years, we should see some dramatic gains, especially once the news, right, starts beating the drum of panic and doom and everything, as they did back in like 2010, 2011 and whatnot, the recession and everything, and then they named it the Great Recession. But once they start doing that again, then it might wake up enough sheeple. I mean, it almost certainly will, and those people will start buying crazy preps that that any kind of experienced prepper would not buy, like big, huge generators with no big store of fuel, or uh, all kinds of guns that they'll never ever use, or just like a whole pallet full of expensive Mountain House freeze dried food and whatnot. Um, they'll throw money at the problem, and some of that money will go into silver and Bitcoin. So those of us who hold those assets, silver and Bitcoin, should enjoy an additional increase. And then once the recession bottoms out around 2019 and we start moving into recovery, then these panic preppers who bought crazy shit that they will never ever use, they just want to forget about the whole thing, and just they put their generator and their preps on Craigslist, and then people like me see it in there and say, "Oh, a bargain," and then go buy their preps for like 30% of what they paid for them. It's a sad thing the way the sheeple kind of like are so abused by both the elites and other people who are a little bit more awake. But man, and I try to help them as much as I can, but there's just no way to help some people. So we just, like all the panic preppers who bought silver in 2011 and pushed the price up to 48 an ounce, and then I was enjoying some of those gains by liquidating. I didn't liquidate right when I should have, but I liquidated at 34. So, and then that got me my house, and the house itself was in a bubble back in 2007, 2008. This place was like $350,000, and I bought it. Then I bought it for like 160,000. So, and to close, I would say watch where you are in the economic cycle, and if you're and then you'll see certain assets really go out of favor depending on where you are in the cycle. When you're in a really bearish part of the economy, generally precious metals are pushed up, and of course we're seeing tremendous gains in Bitcoin because it's not a manipulated market. Up to 1023 right now, but basically it's not a manipulated market, so it's actually allowed to increase, whereas silver is forced down and held down, right? So right now is a good time to be buying either of those. And it's not a good time to be buying real estate or stocks, because both of those assets are through the roof. Like all this Chinese money has come in and pushed an artificial upward pressure on the real estate market in both Canada and the U.S., especially in the big cities. but that cannot last forever, and the real estate and the economic cycle is going to push stocks and real estate down. And if the Feds print enough money to continue forcing the stock market up, then we're going to see more devaluations in the currency. So we're either going to see we're going to see a devaluation in stocks and real estate. We're going to see it somehow. It's either going to be in the currency itself, the dollar. Either the dollar is going to crash or the value of real estate and stocks are going to crash. But one way or another, they're both going to crash. And when that occurs, silver and Bitcoin should go up. There are no guarantees, but that's what I'm seeing right now. But oh, and I really, no way would I want to rub in the fact that some of my MGTOW brothers missed out on Bitcoin, because man, there is no way that I would want to make fun of anybody for that, because I was right there with you guys when DaVinci J15 was telling us to mine Bitcoins on our PC back when you could do that, and they were like pennies and to buy if you wanted to buy any, and he was saying, get into Bitcoins, get into Bitcoins. And now he's a multimillionaire, and I'm still turning wrenches for a living. So it's like, man, I had my face in my hands with regret, and I was like, oh, it was really, that's one of the greatest regrets of my life, missing out on that. So anyway, I feel your pain if you missed out on this $200 to $1,000 rise in the Bitcoin price. Well, let's see. Other than that, what else is happening? Not friggin' much. It is cold as a bastard out there, and I'm not doing anything in the yard. Not really doing anything big in the garage. I'm just sort of hibernating through the winter, and not much is happening. But, my transmission blew up in my car. I had to get that replaced. I don't have the tools to do it, or the jacks or the lifts or hoists or whatever. I don't have any of that stuff, so I just had it done. Cost me $2,800 for the tranny plus the rear main seal, motor mounts, and an oil change. So that wipes out my surplus income for like a month and maybe a week. So I'm out. Can't buy Bitcoins even if I wanted to right now. But as far as Bitcoins go, I've been accumulating since 2013, and I think I've reached the point where I am pretty much done. I mean, if Bitcoins do what I think they will do, I think I've got enough. But if they don't do what I think they're going to do, buying more at $1,000 per Bitcoin isn't going to help. So I'm going to probably shift more of my income, my surplus income, into silver, good old-fashioned clinking metallic silver, and I'll buy it downtown at my favorite coin shop, and then just start stacking or continue stacking, and then right around 2019, both assets, Bitcoin and silver, should be way up there. Now, there's another thing. I have a journal, right? And I think it's important to keep one and keep keep a record of what you were thinking at a certain time. And I made some goals about my garden and whatnot at the beginning of 2016, and I failed on all of them. And I have to realize that perhaps I'm not as much of a gardener as I thought I was, because I didn't have enough enthusiasm to follow through with a few of those projects, right? So the question is, I mean, what I want to concentrate on this year is to listen to myself, right? And just like we had to do it when we were teenagers, right? To figure out what is it that I want, right? And feel like, what is it? What am I doing when I'm the happiest? Don't go there. Anyway, what am I doing when I'm the happiest? gardening, fixing things. I mean, I love fixing things, and I think some of the enthusiasm for my garden here might be the lack of enthusiasm, that is, might be the fact that I'm starting to think that I will not live here forever. Um, the time might come when when bitcoins are like $3,500 a piece, and I will suddenly realize that I've got enough money to live probably the rest of my life if I move to a less expensive country like Cambodia, for example, and then I could live like for like 12,000 a year, because I live a pretty frugal lifestyle, right? And maybe $350,000, that'd be enough to last me the rest of my life. Not on top of that, maybe another 200,000 when I end up selling the house. Um, so that would be all the money I need. So then I would be leaving here. So a lot of the long-term plans I had for this place might not be happening. Maybe that's my lower, and maybe that explains the lower amount of enthusiasm I demonstrated last year. So anyway, I'm going to listen to myself and try to figure out what I like, and is it that I don't like gardening as much as I thought, or is it that I'm just realizing that I will not be here that much longer, just maybe a couple more years probably. So, better put my glasses on for this. Oh, back up to 123 each. That's always nice. Man, it sure is neat to see bitcoins in a 4-digit number. Okay, well, I guess I better let you guys go. This thing's already a half hour long, so whatever you do, don't get married.